Hey guys, welcome back to my watercolor channel, and today I will introduce some autumn feeling. I have prepared some colors, which is orange made of yellow ochre and cadmium red, as well as you could see some brownish colors and yellow colors, and my green is basically out of ultramarine blue and some lemon yellow. I sprayed the top of the painting, so I will work only in this area first. My sky is made out of a cobalt blue, so I added a really nice layer, and now you see me adding some warm yellow, for example, such as cadmium yellow or deep yellow, because I wanted to have different colors or different trees in my painting. I continue with adding a little bit of a darker green. So in my painting there are a few bushes further away, and I added some ultramarine blue, but because it's autumn time now I add light brown. And those tree line is basically behind the house. At the front I don't want it to be too strong in green, so it's really just a light green, and then adding some water. However, my painting on my paper has already kind of dried out, and I do more adding of the colors and paints as it goes. I didn't want to use at the front the wet to wake technique, so I want the colors to a bit stronger, but I dilute them a little bit with adding water. However, the danger is of course of getting those cauliflower stains, but it's okay because the front row is basically of a darker colors as this autumn colors as well, so fallen leaves, and I will add more structure to it so I can cover the stains there. And I don't add many details at the moment, so just basically adding making the white of the paper go away. But I have here a really nice gray, so I added a little bit of a ultramarine blue and some yellow ochre as well as some red, so to the point that it got gray. And adding here a bit stronger colors of really nice orange there, so it's still mixing nicely together, as well as some yellow. So the star of this painting is basically a house, which will have a light color of turquoise blue and a little bit of orange, and a Rowan tree. I really like the colors of the Rowan tree during the autumn time. They're very strong in red colors and yellow colors, so you see them from far away, and they're very vibrant colors. I actually do have one smaller Rowan tree in my backyard, but it's not very big yet, and those trees are especially striking here because we have many of birch tree and many of the spruces, so they are quite easily to recognize. But at the further back of my painting there I added a green tree, so I really wanted to have some different vibrant colors in my painting. It takes some time to add the paint, so I'm a bit careful, basically tapping the brush onto the paper, and I try to keep a basic form of the tree and that it's not too many details. My Rowan tree, I have added some deeper yellow and then I just intensify the colors as I go. So having a light orange with a little bit more of water, and then adding more cadmium red to the mixture, as well as playing a little bit with the shades within the tree so it's not that boring. I leave some spots in between which are whitish because I want to have this space there and that it's not so overcrowded. Of course, I can add later on more of the branches there, so it's nicely coming through. And the very intensified color is basically the closer to the trees, because closer to the house, because so that I can create a nice contrast between the cool color of the turquoise blue and the really red. But with the orange I add also a very nice contrast of deep purple. To my purple I have added some cadmium red, ultramarine blue, as well as some crimson red. The reason why is that I want to have a kind of a balance with the cadmium red, which is really strong in the orange. So I don't want to have this really cold purple, but a warm purple. I added a lot of colors, so a lot of paint, without adding much of the water, because it's really supposed to be quite strong in color. While some of the areas of the tree are still quite wet, I add a lot of cadmium red. And I'm very careful with the edges of the tree because I want them to be very delicate and not that thick. So it's a bit of a slower work, but really the tip of the brush really needs to contain still a lot of paint and a lot of water. I guess I could have painted the house front first, but I preferred it that way. I add here already some of the edges, so I'm using my slightly diluted purple. I add some structure to the front on the street or on the pavement, and not very strong in color because it would really distract from the Rowan tree, but adding here and there with some brush strokes different leaves and leaf areas. So I start working here as well while my tree is drying, because I don't want the turquoise mix too much with the branches of the Rowan tree. I used to the ground some different colors, so it's this purple and then some orange, as well as some yellow ochre on its own. I want to add some structure as well to the back behind the house, so it's not this wet to wet only area, but what I do, or what I like to do, is basically to add the edges, which are a little bit, well, obviously they have hard edges, and then continue adding water, so in the middle it's more diluted and it's not so much in detail. And the reason why is that Those trees are obviously further away, but it also fits with the overall painting as I don't have so many details in it, so I just focus on the basic shapes. Now I continue with my house. First I thought I'd just add turquoise blue as on its own. So I have mixed a little bit of the color, but I use a lot of water, so I don't want it to be too overpowering, too much of a strength. And then I added as well some of the orange that was left, and it has basically the same strength as the turquoise blue, so it's quite diluted. And here adding more turquoise blue and some of the yellow ochre, so it's mixing nicely together. And then I add to the hard edges of the branches as well as some leaves, so it's kind of like mixing nicely together, as well as it covers some of the area of the house, so it's not just standing there empty space, especially as the rowan tree is the really main attraction. But I make sure that the shadowy part of the house has some darker areas as well as around the grass which is in front of the house. And my scenery is basically during a nice sunny day, so I add light orange to the roof, and then I continue with the grass at the front. So it's just the beginning of the autumn, and we still have a lot of the greens, but some of the trees have already started to change their leaves in different autumn colors. I try with adding here a bit more shape to the grass area so it doesn't look too flat, and I look in which direction the grass is pointing or bending basically, but also adding here to the front more of a green and mixing a stronger darker brown. So I thought maybe it's time to add to paint the fence. Those fences are quite typical here in Finland, especially in the north. I have two colors, so I wasn't happy how dark it turned out, and but I wanted to have a little bit of a lighter brown. I didn't want to have it so strong in color. I continue with the fence and add with light brush strokes, so I don't want to be overpowering it either. And basically we are in the end phase of the painting, so just really adding a few details. I have a small window at the back of this house, so I left the window benches basically white, but I want to have a very dark reflection within, so it's really giving a nice contrast, as well as adding some of the shadowy parts now, so onto the ground as well as behind the tree, but adding a little bit of a lighter layer onto the ground so the colors don't get lost. But now I continue with adding the trunks. So there's further away tree which is green, and I diluted a little bit the trunk because I thought that it's a bit further away. or not standing that close, so it doesn't need to have a very strong trunk. But as well as adding here to my Rowan tree and adding a few branches. I have mentioned many times before that I feel it a bit difficult to add the branches because sometimes it's just too many of those. But I recommend, especially if you like painting landscape paintings, to get a rigger brush which is very thin and it's very thin and long, and it gives the opportunity to add very thin branches as well as control a little bit more of the direction than with a thinner, smaller brush. Now adding a few some brighter colors. So I like to do it especially at the end, because to get a little bit of the brightness in there, and I have idea what the main subject looks like, and so I don't add too many of the bright colors which goes all over the place. A little bit more red to the ground, so which is more closer to the rowan tree. Few brush strokes and not that much in the detail, but that was it. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe. Bye.